Good morning to you from the misty valley of joy. How are you? Have you slept? Have you eaten? Are you well? Cracker of a misty morning as usual. A little bit chilly on the Fimbies. I keep thinking I'll get my gloves out and then I get out here and I've forgotten again. Cracker of a morning, and let me show you. La 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 la, isn't it beautiful? Look at that. She's a beauty. I thought I would talk to you today about 4-day work weeks or reduced hours, flexibility in work, because it has become a bit more common for people to experience more flexibility. Ever since COVID, we have had a real move towards more flexible work practices, people being able to have more choice over how and when and where they work. But first, I'll show you a little specimen I planted yesterday. Look at this. Sasha's going to check it out. A little purple crepe myrtle to go in my line of crepe myrtles, because this will be a new area soon. So lots of people now have a bit more flexibility. But do you actually consider and plan for how you want that to be? So for me, I've made a conscious choice to work flexibly. If I'm working from home and on Zoom, I often do a few hours on and then a few hours off in the garden, and then a few hours back on and then a few hours off. And that really recalibrates me, keeps me happy, keeps me connected to the land while still earning money and doing things to make a difference to other workplaces and their cultures. But also I like to really practice a 4-day work week. Here comes the nutbags. I've been practicing some training with Mabari. We'll see how she goes. Look at that. Good girl. Good girl. So I like to practice a 4-day work week. Look at this. Happy puppies. Hello. One for Mabari. Oh. One for Spirit. You want one, Spirit? Good boy. And Sasha. Good girl. Nice and gentle, Sash. So I like to practice a 4-day work week so that I can do other things here on the property. So often I'll mow or whippersnip, plant trees, create a new garden bed, clear up a walking path, all those sorts of things. And I love having that, knowing that I've got a flexible day in my week. And usually for me, my day off is Fridays, which is today here down under. And I actually have to work today. So I have some meetings up north with some Indigenous workplaces that I'm working with. And so I'm going to be on the road today. And I was a bit bummed about that because I love working in the yard, but also it will be workers' play, going and meeting with these people. And although it's work, it's always delicious to meet new humans and look at ways I can support others to do better and grow their business and be better bosses and all those sorts of things. And it just happened that we couldn't meet on any other day, so it was today. But I really look forward to my flexible weeks, and I love that sense where I don't feel like everything's crammed in together. And when I worked in corporate, I really did have no time in my schedule. It was all crammed together. And people used to book into the crevices. You'd have a half-hour gap once in a week in your calendar and people would book it in and fill it up. And so I just don't allow that to be the case anymore. And I fill my week with work that I love, doing things with people that I like, and spending time making a difference in ways that I enjoy. And so what about you? Do you practice a shorter work week, or do you just practice 6-hour days? I was talking to someone here locally. I went to yoga last night in the village, and one of the people was saying they only work 6 hours a day because that works for them and it keeps their energy up. And often working out here in the country, you still have to chop wood, carry water. You often have a lot of farm duties or animals to feed. And it's just a bit more than city living, because in order to have heating, you've often got to chop wood and light your fire and all those sorts of things. And so they found that 6 hours a day was best for them in order to then manage the rest of their life. And I love that they've identified that and that they stick to that. So what about you? Have you ever thought about a shortened work week? Do you do shorter days? Do you have flexibility? I was working with someone else yesterday that worked with Aboriginal Affairs, and he was saying that he doesn't start work till 10 a.m. because he likes to sleep in, but he prefers to work later at night. So he has that flexibility of starting later and finishing later. What about you? You know, there's research and studies now that show that countries that have shorter work weeks have higher productivity, because often we think that we have to be busy all the time in order to produce, but in actual fact our productivity dips. Our energy is a finite resource that needs to be regenerated, and if you're not doing that, you're just burning the candle. So could you think about shortening your work week, or finding some more flexibility, or really getting consistent with that? Not just saying I'm going to aim for flexibility, but actually having some boundaries around it. So saying I don't work Tuesdays, or whatever it might be. Find a way to have maybe 3 hours a week to yourself, to journal, to reflect, to go for a walk, to do things that you love, that fill up your cup. And I know at yoga last night, Helena, the teacher, said, don't think of this hour as an indulgence. Think of it as a necessity, as part of your weekly hygiene, to come and do a yin class and stretch out and relax all your muscles. And I loved that. So instead of feeling guilty about being there and not doing something else, it felt like it was a necessity for self-care. So what about you? Could you shorten your work week? Could you find other ways to be more productive in less time? Or set some rules and boundaries around how you want to work that works for you and your own rhythms. Have a beautiful, delicious day, whether you're at work or at play. Peace out.